Welcome to the channel. Here, we provide clear, actionable insights into the complex world of tax and accounting to help your business thrive.
All right, so if you live or do business in California, you already know the tax landscape is, well, it's always on the move. And for 2025 and 2026, there are some really big updates you've got to know about. So let's break down exactly what these changes mean for your wallet and for your business.
Let's be real. Keeping up with California's tax code can feel like trying to hit a moving target, right? New rates, new rules, it can get confusing fast. But don't worry, that's what we're here for. In the next few minutes, we're going to give you the clear, straightforward info you need to get ahead of the curve. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll start with a quick look at the big picture, then we'll dive right into what's changing for you as a consumer, and then what's new for businesses. After that, we'll cover some key administrative tweaks and wrap up with how you can stay informed and on the right side of the law.
All right, first up, let's talk about you, the consumer. How are these changes going to hit your wallet? These are the updates that you'll see showing up on receipts and affecting your day-to-day spending.
Okay, so get ready for this one. Starting January 1st, 2026, California is rolling out a new fee. It's called the Covered Battery Embedded Waste Recycling Fee. It's all part of a bigger plan to handle e-waste, and it'll pop up when you buy or lease certain new or even refurbished electronics.
So, what are we talking about here? The fancy term for it is a covered battery embedded product. Basically, think about your smartphone, your laptop. You know, any gadget where you can't just easily pop the battery out yourself with a screwdriver from your kitchen drawer.
Now hold on, this fee doesn't hit everything. The state was pretty specific about what gets a pass. So things like certain medical devices or products that are already covered by other e-waste programs, they won't get hit with this new fee.
Okay, let's switch gears to sales tax. Starting October 1st, 2025, you might notice a little something extra on your receipt in a few cities. This is your friendly reminder to always keep an eye on those local district taxes.
So here's the breakdown. If you live or shop in Dos Palos, Oakland, or Sebastopol, your rate is going up. And just look at Oakland. That's a 0.5% jump to 10.75%. That is definitely one of the highest rates you'll see anywhere in the state.
Okay, business owners, this next part is for you. We're going to pivot and look at some pretty big updates that could change how some of you operate, especially when it comes to taxes and reporting. There's been a huge clarification on the California Firearm and Ammunition Excise Tax, the CFET. And this is a big deal because it completely changes who's on the hook to pay the tax, especially when a sale involves a seller from out of state. The bottom line, the responsibility is shifting big time. Before, things could get a little muddy depending on the sale. Not anymore. Now, if a licensed California firearms dealer helps with a transfer for an out-of-state seller, guess what? That California dealer is now the one responsible for collecting and paying that excise tax. Okay, but this is where you got to pay close attention, because it all comes down to one simple question. Is that out-of-state seller officially doing business in California? If the answer is yes, they have a warehouse here or hit a certain sales number, then the California dealer pays the excise tax, but the out-of-state retailer still has to handle the use tax. But, and this is a big but, if that seller is not doing business here, then wow, the California dealer gets hit with everything, both the excise tax and the sales tax. That is a huge distinction you have to get right.
All right, moving on to another industry that's seeing a massive shift, cannabis. Both retailers and their customers are about to see a really significant change in the excise tax on cannabis products. And get this, the state cannabis excise tax is dropping a lot. It's going from 19% all the way down to a flat 15%. That is a huge drop, and it's all part of a plan to help the legal shops compete with the black market. This is going to change pricing for everyone.
Okay, used car dealers, listen up, because your filing process is about to get a whole lot different. Starting July 1st, 2025, that application you send to the DMV for a registration or transfer, well, that is now your tax return for that sale. It's automatic. This means you won't have to report those sales again on your separate tax return. It's a big change in procedure.
All right, next up, we've got a handful of administrative updates. Now, these are pretty specific, but if you're in one of these industries, they are absolutely crucial details you need to know.
Okay, let's do a quick fire round here. First, for our interstate truckers, the IFTA diesel fuel tax rate has dropped just a tiny bit. Next, and this is pretty cool, electricity and hydrogen are now official reportable fuel types for zero-emission vehicles under IFTA. For anyone making distilled spirits, you got to be more precise now. Round your gallons to 2 decimal places. Fourth, a big heads up for cannabis shops. That vendor compensation program where you got to keep a piece of the tax you collected, it's ending on December 31st, 2025. And finally, they've just updated the hazardous waste fee rules to make them clearer.
So, with all this stuff changing, how in the world do you keep up? It is so important to stay on top of it. So in our last section here, let's talk about the tools and resources out there that can help you navigate all of this.
You know, the state's tax agency, the CDTFA, really puts it perfectly. They say tax evaders enjoy an unfair advantage in the marketplace, hurt California's honest businesses, and impact revenues that support essential public services. It just drives home the point that this isn't just about red tape, it's about keeping things fair for everybody. And on that note, if you ever think someone isn't playing by the rules, the state makes it super easy to report it. You can hop online, call a toll-free number, or even mail in a form. And the best part, you can do it all anonymously. It's a really important way to help keep the system honest.
And just remember, you are not on your own trying to figure all this out. The state has a ton of free help available. If you're really stuck, there's the Taxpayers' Rights Advocate, there are free webinars, newsletters you can subscribe to, even seminars that'll help you with payroll taxes. You've got options.
Wow. Okay, so we have covered a ton of ground today, right? From new fees for you and me to some massive shifts for businesses. The information is in your hands. So now the question is, with all this new info, what's the one thing you're going to do today to make sure you're prepared? Thanks so much for tuning in.